Okay, so a while back I made a video called Why You Should Care About Your Credit Score, and clearly you guys didn't care about your credit score because that video did absolutely horribly. I mean, I know this is a small channel, but even for small channel standards, that video did terrible. It got 9 views. 9! So clearly that was my fault. I'm not gonna blame you guys. I picked a very non-interesting topic, so I'm sorry for that. I promise this video will be much more interesting than that, and we won't talk about credit scores in this video. So today we're talking about the 5 best credit cards in Canada. Now I've watched a lot of credit card videos, namely the Credit Shifu and Ask Sebi, but those guys are based in America and they talk about American credit cards primarily. And I find that for Canadian credit cards, there's not a lot of good options for you if you want to watch YouTube videos. So that's why I made a video talking about the 5 best Canadian credit cards for us Canucks up here drinking that Tim Hortons coffee. And I think that you guys will be super interested in this video, much more than the credit score video for sure. Now, before I begin, you guys know what time it is? That's right, it's quarantine memes. Let's go. Anyways, hope you guys like that. Without further ado, number 1 credit card is smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Nah, just kidding, but seriously though, smash that like button. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. First of all, I just want to say that all the credit cards that I picked in this video are credit cards that I have personally. So I'm not just saying this, it's all credit cards that I use and personally really like. Now, personally, I have 8 credit cards. Now, people always are a little bit shocked at that. I say, why do you have 8 credit cards? And the reason why I have 8 credit cards is that I think each credit card focuses on a specific reward category the best. So for example, the first one I picked for today is called the American Express Cobalt. Now this card is sort of special because one is an American Express card, which typically is not very well accepted here in Canada. But the reason why I picked it is because the reward categories are just pretty amazing in my opinion. It gives 5 points per dollar on food. Now, the good thing about this card is that the food categories that they define are pretty broad, so it actually includes groceries as well. So it includes groceries, restaurants, bars, coffee, anything to do with food or drink. I really like the American Express points because they're rather versatile, and as a general rule of thumb, you can maybe get a cent per point in terms of the American Express points value. Now, if you book travel through American Express Travel, you can actually get more than 1 cent per point in terms of values. And now talking about travel, you also get 2 points per dollar on travel. Now the travel category is pretty broad too. It includes Uber, Lyft, anything with public transportation. It includes parking, plane tickets and train tickets obviously. So anything to do with travel, you get 2 points per dollar. And you also get 1 point per dollar on everything else. So I really like this card, and this is a card that I will use as my primary card whenever I see a place where they accept American Express. Now, as I said, unfortunately here in Canada, we don't have too many places that accept American Express, but for the places that do accept American Express, I think this is a great card. Now, the downside to this is it does have a monthly fee as opposed to an annual fee, and the monthly fee is $10 per month. Now, it's kind of interesting that they use the monthly fees kind of system to deal with this, and I think that the reason why they use this $10 per month as opposed to an annual fee is that it appeals to millennials a bit more, right? Because it's a lesser of a drain on your bank account if you're hit with a $10 monthly fee as opposed to getting hit with a $120 annual fee all at once. It is something to keep in mind that if you do want a credit card that has higher rewards, sometimes you will have to pay an annual fee or a monthly fee in this case. So that is definitely a drawback to this card. Now, just to summarize the pros and cons of this card, as I said, 5x points on food, 2x points on travel, 1x points on everything else. Those are the benefits. And the drawbacks are obviously a $10 monthly fee, so $120 annually. And also American Express is not too widely accepted here in Canada. Now moving on to credit card number 2, I chose the PC MasterCard World Elite Edition. So this is also a card that I have personally, and if you notice that I'm wearing this shirt right now that has the No Name brand on it. So for those of you that don't know, PC it stands for President's Choice. Now President's Choice is a brand that's run by Loblaws. So Loblaws is a grocery chain here in Canada, for those of you that are not from Canada. Loblaws is a grocery chain here in Canada that runs a bunch of different banners. I'll put up a picture as to all the different brands that they own. So they own President's Choice, they own No Name, like the one that I'm wearing, and they own a bunch of grocery chains like No Frills and Zehrs and Superstore, and just a bunch of other ones that I can't remember off the top of my head. So the good thing about the PC MasterCard is that it has no annual fee. So for those of you who were hesitant on the first one that I mentioned, the American Express, because of the annual fee, well, this one has no annual fee, so that's nice. And if you get the World Elite Edition, which is the one that I have, you get 30 points per liter on Esso fuel. So Esso is a big chain of gas stations here in Canada, and you get 30 points per liter on your fuel at Esso. Now, it's interesting that they do points per liter as the points per dollar at gas stations. Now, recently, I'm sure you guys know that the price of oil has come down, so the price of gas is now much below $1 per liter. I think it's at like 70 cents per liter-ish, around there somewhere. And the good thing about that is that 30 points per liter, which translates to about 3 cents per liter, you actually get that back in terms of what's called PC Optimum points, which you can spend at any Loblaws owned grocery store. You get 3 cents per liter back in value. Now, as the price of the gas goes down, your yield actually goes up. So if you think about it, 3 cents out of 70 cents is a bigger deal than 3 cents out of 100 cents. So this is kind of interesting to me because it's kind of like the yield on a stock, right? Because as the stock price decreases, if the stock gives dividend, the yield actually goes up. So it's kind of interesting to me where if you use the PC MasterCard to purchase gas, your yield can actually go up. But the drawback of this card is that for the World Elite Edition, at least, there is a minimum income requirement. So I think it's about $80,000 per year personal income is required, or $150,000 per household. So if you don't meet this threshold, you might not be able to get the World Elite Edition. Now, they do have a World Edition, which is a step down from the World Elite, and they also have a regular version. Now, those regular versions, they obviously give less rewards per dollar spent, which is unfortunate. But those have much lower bars in terms of eligibility requirements. So if you don't qualify for the World Elite Edition, you can go for those. Now, you might not be able to get as much rewards, but since it's a no annual fee card anyways, if you shop at any Loblaws owned grocery store at all, I think this one's a no-brainer. Now, moving on to number 3. Number 3, I picked the Tangerine MasterCard. Now, this is another no annual fee card, and the good thing about this card is that they're pretty generous with the reward category. So if you have a Tangerine savings account, which you should open one up, by the way, it's free to open, and their interest rates are pretty good. Now, if you do have a Tangerine savings account, you can choose 3 categories where you get 2% cashback and 0.5% cashback on everything else. Now, the 0.5% cashback on everything else is very low, so don't go for that. But if you open up a Tangerine savings account, you can get those 3 categories where you can pick which 2% category that you want. So I think that they have restaurants, they have home improvement was one of them, they have reoccurring bills, they have all these pretty broad categories in my opinion, and you can choose up to 3 of them and get those 3 categories of 2% cash back. Now, if you don't want to open up a Tangerine savings account, you can still choose up to 2 categories where you get 2% cash back, which is still a pretty good deal. Because the majority of these no annual fee cashback cards, they only give probably 1 category where it's 2% cash back. So the fact that they're giving you 2 for not even having a bank account with Tangerine, and they're giving you 3 if you do, then that's a really good deal. And I think that that's a no-brainer. And this is a card that I can actually show you because this is kind of cool. They have this new World Edition, which is the vertical design, and they don't have any banking information on the front. So I can actually show you what the actual card looks like. So if you want to see what the card looks like, here it is. Now, I'm going to be really careful not to show my credit card number, which is on the back. I could show you the other ones too, since I have all of them, but those have my credit card number on the front, and if I'm going to blur it out, then I might as well just show you a picture up here of all the cards that I've mentioned. So this one I can show you in person. So yeah, that's the Tangerine MasterCard. Now, just as a side note, the difference between the regular card and the World Edition that I have is that the World Edition has some added insurance and some extra features, which they just tack on, but it really doesn't affect the cashback category. So I still only get 3 cashback categories. They're all the same. So it's just they're both annual fee free too, so you don't have to worry about the annual fee. So the World Edition is just, I guess it looks a little fancier and it has some extra features which I never really use, but anyways, there's not that much difference, to be honest. Now moving on to credit card number 4, I chose the Simply Visa card. Now the Simply Visa card is one of the best cards for restaurants and bars, in my opinion, because it gives a whopping 4% cashback on restaurants and bars and coffee and anything to do with food. Now it's not as broad as the American Express Cobalt because it doesn't include groceries, but I think that if you go out to eat very often, Visa is a lot more widely accepted here in Canada versus American Express. So I kind of use that as a backup in case I can't get the American Express card to work at whatever restaurant or whatever place I'm eating at. And another benefit is that this is also a no annual fee card, so you don't have to worry about the annual fee. Now the drawback to this card is that you will need a Simply checking account in order for this to work. So you have to open up a Simply checking account before you can apply for this Visa card, which is unfortunate because I know a lot of you don't want to deal with having multiple bank accounts and having just multiple debit cards everywhere, but you will have to open up a debit account for this card, unfortunately. But I think that it is worth it because, again, it is a no annual fee card, so you don't have to worry about that. And the Simply checking account is also a free account, so there's no account maintenance fees, there's no minimum balance, there's nothing like that. So for those of you who don't know, Simply is owned by CIBC, and it's their sort of discount banking system where it's all online. And with a Simply account, you can still use CIBC ATMs to deposit cash or withdraw cash. I mean, personally, I've never really felt the need to really go into a branch for anything, at least not recently. So Simply has worked out well for me so far. I haven't had any problems, and it's a free account. So, why not? You get 4% cash back with the Simply Visa. Now, the last card, number 5, I'm going to talk about is the RBC Signature Rewards. Now, this card usually costs $39 annually, but since I have a lot of products with RBC and I bank with RBC primarily, I actually get this card for free. So ask your bank about potentially waiving this annual fee if you bank with RBC. So I think that they have some sort of program where if you have a lot of RBC products, they actually give this card to you for free. So for example, I have a bunch of bank accounts with RBC. I have a checking account, I have a savings account, I have a direct investing account, I have a line of credit with RBC. So I have a lot of products with RBC. So that's why they give this card to me for free. And the benefits of this card is that you do earn 1 point per dollar on your card. Generally, these points are worth about a cent each. So the good thing about RBC rewards points is that they're rather versatile and you can use them to redeem for a bunch of stuff like gift cards or merchandise or travel, things like that. There's a bunch of categories where RBC points are accepted. Now, personally, I use RBC points to pay my commissions to trade. So unfortunately, unlike you guys in America, here in Canada, there's very limited options for you to trade stocks for free. Now, I'll make a video later about options like Wealthsimple Trade, which is a commission-free system, but they do have drawbacks as well. So primarily, I still invest using RBC Direct Investing, and they charge a $10 per transaction commission fee, which is quite a lot, actually. Sometimes I use my points from my RBC Signature Visa just to pay the commission, because you can redeem the points for a credit when you trade and use that to pay for commission. Anyway, so that's one method that I've discovered that you can use RBC credit card points for. And you can just explore on your own. They have a whole webpage dedicated to that. I'll probably link it down below or somewhere. So to summarize, I'll put up a list of the pros and cons to this card and you can check it out. So yeah, those are the 5 credit cards that I use on a primary basis. And those are the 5 cards that I think are the best in Canada. Now I'll leave the links down below to apply for these credit cards in case you're interested. Now just to be completely transparent here, some of them will be affiliate links. So if you apply through my link, yeah, I may get a small commission in terms of rewards if you sign up using my link. Now this is completely voluntary. You don't have to use my link if you don't want to. I just want to be transparent here. If you do, I would gladly appreciate it. And it helps me out, helps out the channel, and it helps me continue to make great videos like these. But again, don't feel obligated to use my link. But yeah, with that being said, that's all I wanted to sort of talk about today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.